Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rosie and today I want to talk to you about a masterclass that I did a couple of days ago run by Rodrigo Souza. Now he is a Brazilian yoga teacher who also lives in Sweden, if I remember correctly. His Instagram is Allihopa, which in Swedish means all together, so everybody together and sort of unity, I guess. So that's his name on Instagram, Allihopa. I'm going to leave his information linked down below in the description box. I'm also going to leave a link to this masterclass if it's available as well. I think he's selling it, hopefully he's selling it now. So I'll be able to leave that down below. But basically, I thought I'd do a video telling you a little bit about what I learned, the key pieces of information, and just a little bit more information about this. So it was a 3-hour masterclass talking about how to teach people in wheelchairs yoga. So the line that he had on the advert was how to teach yoga to folks with disabilities / wheelchair users. He mentioned that he learned a lot from Matthew Sanford and from Jivana Heyman. They were his two main teachers. Now Jivana Heyman is somebody that we've spoken to as well on the podcast. And it's also somebody who I've done one of his courses recently, a chair yoga course. So I know who Jivana Heyman is. I've heard of Matthew Sanford, but I've not actually done any of his classes or teachings or anything. But yeah, it was great to kind of learn about Rodrigo's history and his background and also some of his influences and his teachers. So he did a lot of Bikram yoga in his 20s, but in 2014 he had an accident. He fell down when he was travelling and he has a spinal cord injury, so he broke his back in 2014. Now he talks to us a little bit about his experience, about, everything that happened with that, how he then started yoga. So in rehab he realised that some of the poses that he was doing was yoga. So he wanted to lead a practice with other people in wheelchairs, and he said it was just the most incredible moment where these people who had been in wheelchairs, who had disassociated from their own body, who had not felt in their own body for weeks, months, years, I don't know how long it had been, but they suddenly did yoga with him and they felt connected to their bodies, into their breath, and they felt present. And he said it was just such an incredibly moving experience that he decided that he wanted to become a yoga teacher. So he did his 200-hour yoga teacher training, and he has done other types of training since then about accessibility and how to teach people in wheelchairs, how to teach different people, and obviously a lot of this comes from his own personal experience as well. So the masterclass was broken down into 3 sections. The first section was a part where he told us about his story, about his background in yoga, about how he became a yoga teacher. A lot more information than what I've just given you, trust me. We then did a 40-minute practice. I'm going to pop the little time lapse on the side here. I did a little time lapse just to put on my Instagram, and it was really interesting to see the poses that he did, but also the cueing as well. It was really, I don't know, I gained a lot from it, because rather than saying lift your hands all the way up to the top to meet at the top, he would say raise your arms as much as is comfortable, because obviously for some people it might be here, for some people it might be here, some people it might be here. So I think listening to him cueing us and feeling it in my own body, and also listening to the cueing, was like huge for me. It was really, really important, so that was really good. So we did the practice, we had a little bit of a break, and then he did an 1.5-hour presentation about yoga and about how to teach people in wheelchairs. And I'm just going to mention some of the key points that stood out for me. This is by no means everything that was taught. Like I said, it was a 3-hour masterclass. This is going to be probably a 10-minute video, so I'm skipping out loads of information. But honestly, if you have any desire, any inclination, any kind of wanting to teach people in wheelchairs, I would highly, highly recommend this course. It was well worth the money. So the main things that I've written down are that yoga can help people who actually need yoga. Now I know that yoga online is a lot of kind of skinny white girls doing yoga, doing handstands and flexible things and like lots of complex poses, but actually yoga should be for people who actually need it, who could really, really benefit from it. And you can use yoga to stop medication. So I don't know too much about it, but I think what he was saying was that some of the medication that he was on previously was to help with any pain, also to help with, what was the word that he used? I can't remember the exact, again, you're going to have to go and pay for this course, but basically through yoga he can reduce some of his pain, he can reduce some of the other side effects of being in a wheelchair. And now he doesn't take any medications. That was incredible. So if you can get more people off medication by teaching yoga, amazing. He also said that yoga is great for mental health. So he always tries to incorporate an aspect of gratitude, let's, be grateful for our bodies, be grateful that we're still here, be happy about our lives and try and be calm. It can also help with sleep and things like that. He mentioned that yoga was good to connect to your body. So again, like I said, I think he said that a lot of people who have injuries like back injuries, breaking their backs, having spinal cord injury, things like that, they often disassociate from their body because they're like, oh my God, you used to be able to do all these things and now you can do these things which are different. And I think a lot of people don't feel connected to their body and don't particularly want to look at their body or feel their body or look after their body, let's say. I don't know. Obviously, I've not been in that position. He explained it far more eloquently than I ever can. But he said that yoga is a really great way to connect to your body, to actually move your body and feel your body and connect to your body again, which I think is really, really important in the healing process. He also talked about yoga as a social activity, which I'd never really thought about. So he said that obviously with people who have injuries and live in wheelchairs, and even, I used to put makeup on to go to yoga as well. It sounds silly, but I did. And it was like a social event. So I think people in wheelchairs who maybe don't get out of the house as much, who maybe don't have as many social activities to go to, it's a really great social aspect. And he said that sometimes people put makeup on to go to yoga, which I did as well in Miami. Maybe it's a once a week kind of getting out of the house, doing yoga, meeting your friends and having that social aspect. So it's not only just for your body and for your mind, it's also for your social life as well, which I think is really important. I hadn't really thought about that before, honestly. And he also talked us through poses that are adapted to wheelchair users. So he ran through, I don't know how many different poses, lots of different poses, talking about why they're good for wheelchair users, cueing them, poses to avoid, things to say, things not to say, all that kind of good stuff. And one of the things in particular that I found interesting was to do shoulder exercises, because in a wheelchair you're moving yourself from your bed to your wheelchair, from your wheelchair to the toilet, back onto the wheelchair, maybe into the car, things like that. So you need a lot of shoulder strength. So doing shoulder movements in yoga is great for people in wheelchairs, because, and also even to move the wheelchair if you have one that you move yourself. So there's lots of different things that I hadn't really considered before, which is why trainings like this are so important. So that was really good. Yoga for people that actually need it. So again, like I said, about with the pain and things like that. He also said about it being a really great community aspect. So obviously there are different communities of people. There's, the Black community, the gay community, the disabled community. And he was saying that it's really nice to kind of connect lots of disabled people together so that they all feel as part of a group, part of a community, like they belong, like they're not the odd one out, or, it's nice to be with people who are similar to you, who have similar experiences, similar viewpoints. So I think that was really important as well. And something he said actually that was important as well was he'd recommend putting wheelchair users together in one class and then able-bodied people together in another class, because if you have a wheelchair user in a class with lots of able-bodied people, it might be really hard not to compare yourself to them and to compare your practice, to compare your body, to compare your abilities, and that can then have a bad effect on mental health and all the rest of it. So I thought that was really important as well, to provide sort of wheelchair-friendly classes and whatever else classes you want to do, but not really combine everything. And I agree with that and understand that, but I do also think it's important to be able to teach all different types of people in one room in case that ever does happen, so you have the abilities to do that. And the yoga teacher training that I took last year is actually starting again. There's already a cohort on now, but the next cohort starts in January. So if you want to learn more about kind of accessible yoga, teaching different people in different bodies, different ages, chair yoga, mat yoga, wheelchair yoga, all that good stuff, I'll leave that link down below as well, because that's a really incredible training. And then the last thing I learned that I wanted to talk about was balance, because he moved a lot in his chair as he was practicing, so he'd kind of shuffle himself forwards or backwards, and he explained to us that when he's sat, because he's paralysed from, I can't remember exactly which vertebrae, but he's paralysed roughly here, so if he's not resting his back on something, if he tries to sit up straight, he can't, because he wobbles. He doesn't have the core strength. It's not about not having the core strength, it's just that his body's unable to balance. So it was really, honestly, I just learned so much. I know I've kind of rushed through this in about 10-12 minutes, but honestly, if you want to learn more about wheelchair yoga, I will leave it linked down below. It was incredible. I learned so much. I actually can't wait to watch the videos again and take notes this time, because when I did it, it was a live event, which was amazing as well because we could ask questions. But I also can't wait to watch the recording back and write notes and write down key points and write down key cues or poses and things like that I think are going to be really helpful for me. And also just how amazing, he's just such an amazing person, and not because he's in a wheelchair. He's just an amazing person. And I think some of the things as well he talked about was like not having inspiration porn, of being like, oh my god, you're in a wheelchair, so you're so amazing, and like, you're so inspirational. So that was something he mentioned as well, which is interesting. But yeah, he's just such a great guy. And it's been nice because since then I've messaged him and asked him a couple of questions about like, is it weird that as a white, thin, cis, straight, able-bodied woman, all of the kind of labels, I guess, would it be weird for me, especially as like an able-bodied person, to teach a wheelchair accessible, friendly yoga class? And he said no, because you're helping people, and even if one person does his yoga class who's in a wheelchair and they feel connected to their body, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel like somebody is putting content out there for them, that's way more than if one person gets offended because I'm doing that, if that makes sense. And it's not about me kind of taking advantage of that group of people, or I don't know. I had these questions anyway, and he reassured me and he said, do you know what, post the content, it'll help somebody and it'll be amazing. So that was really great as well. I feel like I have a real kind of mentor, somebody I can go and ask questions to and connect with, and honestly it was incredible. Really, really incredible. So I'm going to stop talking now. I don't want to spoil it too much, but if you are wanting to learn how to teach wheelchair users, maybe you're wanting to expand your knowledge, maybe you're wanting to do classes in the community, maybe you have a family member or a friend who's in a wheelchair and you'd like to share the practice with them, honestly, this is an incredible course. Highly recommend it. I will leave it linked. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you want to learn more about me and my journey and my kind of yoga teaching and everything else I'm doing in my life. Make sure you subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Rodrigo as well for doing this class, this masterclass. I learned so much. I think you're incredible. And yeah, have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.